Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a brand new week. And you are here with me, 𝗬𝗬𝗃 on Tish Talks Tech. And I have the wonderful, the one and only 𝗵𝗶𝗿𝗲 from IBM. Say hello.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. Sorry I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, you're you are 100% very okay. I am so happy to have you here. As I said before, I just feel so grateful that you are here for the simple fact that, you know what, you are giving us the information. You are going to drop the T on how and what else is out there for people that are seeking tech careers. And a lot of folks don't even realize that there's more than just code. And you are a prime example of that. So Mo, if you don't mind, because we only have 59 minutes and it's going to go by so fast, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, 𝗬𝗬𝗃, and thanks for having me. I must say I've been following you and a lot of your interviews. Some of my colleagues have been on with you, namely PJ. Shout out to PJ. Great conversation that you had with him. And I appreciate the fact that you reached out to me and invited me. It was an honor. It is an honor. So thank you.
You are welcome. You wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I absolutely am looking forward to the discussion. I have no doubt that the 59 minutes, maybe it's 58 now, will go by quickly. But about myself, my name is 𝗵𝗶𝗿𝗲. Like you said, I live in Columbus, Ohio. I've been in tech for quite some time. I have 3 children, and I love getting up every day and getting after it and doing my best in everything that I'm involved in. So hopefully that'll continue during this interview.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I'm so happy to know, number one, you're at IBM. You are actually helping companies to, for lack of better words, live their best lives, do the best things. And for a lot of folks, they really want to be a part of that, especially folks in the newer generations. Some folks would call it the younger generations, those that are coming up, you know, like we were talking before, it can completely impact the way companies move, right? So tell us more about like how you, before we even know like what you actually do, tell us about how you got started. What's your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I think it goes without saying, everybody will have a different journey, and that's important for people that are looking to get in, because some people might think, oh, well, you know, 𝗬𝗬𝗃 did this, and you know, I'm not doing that, or you know, Mo's story, he said this or that. It really is. It starts with you know, listening to people that are in the field and hearing their journey, and really, if somebody is looking to get into tech, it starts with that intent. Once you've made that intent and then you take a step towards, let's say you want to learn more, you want to network, you want to talk to folks, that's going to be the beginning of you writing your journey, because I can guarantee anyone out there that if you made up your mind and you put in the work, that you will have a story to tell, and you'll be on with 𝗬𝗬𝗃 in 2 or 3 years and telling us about your wonderful story. My personal story. So I have a legal background. So I practiced as an attorney for a long time. And, you know, that's not as glamorous as the TV shows make it out to be.
Are you sure?
I'm positive, I'm telling you. And, you know, one of my clients had become an IBM partner. So I became involved there. And then it just kind of naturally, I gravitated towards technology sales, and really a lot of the skills that I had as an attorney translate. And that's another thing that I wanted to point out, that whatever an individual is doing right now, they might think that it's not going to apply to their, let's say, their future technology career. But I guarantee you it will. Everything that you learn, everything that you work through, challenges that you have, successes that you have, your ability or your experience in working with colleagues, peers, customers, all of that is your building block. And you're going to, in 2 years or 3 years, when you're working at a tech job that you love, you're going to be able to relate certain experiences that you had and apply some of it in a way that's going to drive you further towards a successful career. And so that's my personal journey. I love technology. You know, I can go back even further. When I was young, I used to work at a local computer shop when I was a teenager during the summers. And this was, you know, back in the days when building custom computers was a big deal. So, you know, I got my hands dirty and putting in, you know, the hard drives and the graphics cards and all that. And so I always had I had a love for technology. And so it kind of just made sense that this would be where my journey led me. And I'm very happy that it did.
Wow. Wow. So it's not always a straight path. It's not always, I'm going to do this. And I think that a lot of folks, that's the part that kind of confuses people, because they think, okay, I'm going to make video games and I'm going to do this or that. And it just doesn't always do that. Sometimes you do other stuff and it pleases you and it's very meaningful, but then, you know, you kind of move to the side or whatever. And then all of a sudden here you are really making a difference, helping organizations to just put their best foots. That's not a word. Feet.
Hey, it sounded good to me. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the biggest decision point, you know, in my mind, if I'm thinking, if I was somebody in the audience and I was interested and I want to look into getting a job in technology, the biggest decision point is that very intent, right? I want to get a job in technology. And I promise everybody out there that if you have that intent and then you start, right? And it doesn't have to be putting together an elaborate plan. You know, it can, you know, certain things develop as they go, but you're interested, you're listening, you're learning, you're reading up. Because a lot of people will say, well, where do I start? And, you know, the biggest deal is that you do start, because there is no playbook. There is no playbook that people can just jump into. There's a Arthur Ashe quote that I love where he said, and I might get this wrong, but, you know, use what you have. Basically, use what you have and start now. Use what you have, do what you can, start now, right? So if you say, well, I don't have any contacts, or you know, you have a contact, go make a contact, reach out, you know, get onto LinkedIn, meet as many people as you can. Reach out to people locally that might be in a technology job and ask them, hey, I just want to meet with you and learn about what you do. Right. And people, you will find that people are very receptive to lending their story, their advice, their journey, their mistakes, their successes, and build upon that and just get to know more and more people, while along the way, you know, develop some skills if there's an area of focus that you're into, right? Whether it's coding, whether it is, you know, AI. You know, obviously that's extremely hot right now, but learn as much as you can, meet as many people as you can. And I think that, you know, don't look at, you know, let's say a rejection as a failure. That's just and I know it's a cliche, but you know what? There's a reason why cliches stick around. It's because there's some truth to them. Another quote,
Bring it on, because
I think
it's cool.
success, and this one I really love. Success is the ability to walk from failure after failure without losing motivation. Something like that. And so you can't get down if you have what you perceive to be a failure. It might not actually be a failure, right?
Right.
Learn from it. Don't lose momentum. Don't lose steam. Keep going. So those are some of the things that I try to practice. Now, look, obviously we're all human. You know, we all have emotions, and sometimes, but keep that in mind and keep that as your base and your foundation, so that you can return to that baseline and not just, you know, think, oh, this isn't going to work out.
Right. Or just out and out quit.
Or out and out quit. Exactly. Staying on course, staying determined. And Leticia, you can tell this better than I can, but I think you and I both, just be determined. Be determined. Maybe you can change course sometimes. Oh, seems to be working. Or, maybe for me, an individual might think, oh, I'm really good at networking. Okay, so build on that, develop your other strengths as you go. But whatever it is, keep going forward and push towards your goal. And I promise you won't be disappointed.
I love that. And I love that you say, keep going, keep learning. When folks log on to LinkedIn, and if anyone's ever seen your profile, you have tons of like digital badges and certificates and things of that nature. You're a true believer in lifelong learning. Do you mind, tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
What's your process, and how do you find the time?
Sure. That's a good question. Basically, I'm the kind of person, I guess, and my personality is when I decide to do something, I'm almost in a maniacal way, I'm competitive and I want to just dive in, and I go all in on whatever it is that I'm doing. And then, that could be a strength and a weakness in certain ways. But when I joined IBM, we have a platform for learning. It's called Your Learning. And I really became obsessed with learning as much as I could. Knowing that I now represent my company, I want to know as much as possible. I want to learn as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to talk to, maybe I'm not going to be someone who's responsible for, AI products or you name it, but I want to know what it is. I want to be able to understand it, because when I'm talking to a customer, they're not going to view me as, your expertise is XYZ, at least initially. They're going to want to ask questions. They view me as, hey, you work for IBM, you should be able to answer some of these questions. And so I wanted to do whatever I could to accelerate my learning process. And so where did I find time? My wife could probably answer that question better than I could, but, I would spend, obviously, hours after we got my son to sleep, he's 3, going down to my home office and learning and studying. And, once you have that mindset, it comes naturally, and you can really start building upon things that you learn. And that's the other cool thing, is that certain concepts are going to be similar from one area of expertise to the next, where they, certain foundations have the same patterns. And of course, education is a passion of mine. So
right.
It's something that I'm proud of.
I like that. And all of the transferable skills, whatever it is that you're doing now, like, you keep stressing it. And folks, if you're watching, whether it be live or in the future, whatever you're doing now, you can take that with you. You're still going to be in tech. You're still going to be servicing your client, the partners. you're going to be doing that. You just have to figure out how you're doing that and utilize the skills that you have so that you can be able to enhance the skills that you're learning, and make the world a better place, because that's what we're doing. I really like that. I have a question for you here, and I want to talk about a little bit about what it is that you do,
Mhm.
because we've been kind of dancing around it a little bit.
Sure, sure.
We know that it's sales. We know that, but tell us. I know what it is, and you know what? I'm such a horrible host. This is what I'm going to do. So, Mo, what I see you do is you help organizations to really branch out and just do what's best, and to really serve the mission. And so, tell us more about what you do, because folks really need to know. And it's so cool. Go ahead. I'm not going to say
Thank
anything.
you. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, you built it up a lot. I don't know. It's gonna be hard to live up to that. No, I'm kidding.
You can
Um,
do it.
so really, what I do is, some people, when they hear the word sales, um, they imagine taking orders or door-to-door sales. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But in technology sales, really your role is to be a partner in a sense. Your job is a partner and to be a consultant, to be a problem solver, and someone who can anticipate, maybe not necessarily just problems, but areas where clients can optimize, where they can improve, where they can look 10, 20 years down the future and anticipate and make certain moves or changes or technology decisions that are going to impact their company positively and the world positively. And so my area of expertise is around the data center and data center assets, how to optimize those areas for clients, how to ensure um, balanced energy consumption, output, environmental impact, um, retiring assets properly, retiring them the right way. As I'm sure your audience knows, or if they don't, uh, how companies impact the environment is obviously very important. It always has been, and it's more and more relevant in the last 10 or 15 years. And the reason is there's billions of tons of electronic waste that has been, as part of our technological revolution and all the advancement. When we hear the word cloud, at the end of the day, the data is not actually in the cloud, right? It's
Right.
on a physical asset that is
Mhm.
somewhere, and those are going to eventually fail and need to be replaced. And so when they are being replaced, how are we replacing them? And then what are we doing with the asset that's no longer in service for a data center or for a client? As you can imagine, unfortunately, a lot of retired assets used to end up in landfills, third world countries, in places where the environment is impacted in a very negative way, right?
Mhm.
And thankfully, I think the community at large and the technology leadership, they recognize this, and there has been, but there's more and more enforcement when it comes to rules around how are we replacing assets? What do we do? Excuse me. How are we retiring assets? How are we recycling them? How are we destroying, obviously, data, right? That's another area.
Mhm.
I'm sure you're aware of all the regulations around data privacy from GDPR to NIST. How is that data being sanitized properly? How is it being destroyed? What's
Mhm.
happening with the remains? And so, that's an area of focus, and all that falls under ESG. I would assume a lot of people have at least heard that acronym.
Tell us more,
What's an
just in
ESG?
case they
Sure.
haven't.
Sure. So ESG is a metric that has been developed to measure how an organization is impacting the environment, society, and then its governance. So what is your environmental impact? Are you doing it properly and according to regulations? Are you doing it positively? Your societal impact, and then your internal governance. And so, are you a organization that is hiring people? Is your diversity where it needs to be, et cetera? And so that metric is now more and more important as there are regulations that are being developed, and the SEC has been, they have a draft regulation that's been being developed, and there's back and forth, et cetera. But at the end of the day, people care about these things because, right? I mean, we don't want our old computer ending up in a landfill, right? I mean, to make it really simple. And so that's an area where companies are very attentive to. They prioritize it, and that's an area where I can assist organizations. And then even from the dollars and cents of running a business, you want to make sure that you're optimizing the assets that you do have. Do we have a bunch of servers or IT equipment that we're actually not using them much, or they're 10% deployment or usage? And so that's an area where we'll be able to, through the power of AI and our AI driven tools and solutions, that's another area we can assist. We can say, hey, we did this analysis. It looks like you could optimize here, you could save there. This part of your environment you are using to a near capacity. You might want to think about creating some additional capacity. So just as a high level, that's an area, and I'm passionate about. If you're on my LinkedIn, you'll see I'm passionate about ESG, and specifically the environmental impact. I started a newsletter called the E in ESG. And so I would, put out articles that I find that are relevant, that are talking about ESG, new developments. Europe is ahead of us when it comes to regulatory requirements. And so, just trying to follow those trends globally. Almost every company, every large organization in America is going to be subject to, what the European Union is doing, because they have clients that, are from Europe, or will have U.S. citizens who have European accounts, et cetera. So I love following the trends. I love staying ahead of them, and finding creative ways to assist companies in getting ahead of that and doing it properly.
That is cool. That is probably the most amazing thing that I've heard on today. Number one, we don't think about where does all of the tech go? Where does it go? Like, you throw out your computer, you may donate it, okay, but what about all of the other stuff, the enterprise stuff? Where does it go? And we don't think about that, do we?
No, you're right. And there's so many elements that play into that. So first and foremost, the data in and of itself. There's regulations around how a company has to destroy that data.
Okay.
And it's because that data is dangerous for it to fall into the wrong hands, whether it is consumer data, whether it's health data, right?
Okay.
And so there's regulations around how it has to be destroyed and deleted, and companies have to do that the right way, or else they end up in the news, right? They end up in the news if there's a breach, and there's a fine, and then there's class action lawsuits, and all you have to do is go into Google and type data breach, and you'll see that this has happened too often.
Yeah.
But companies are getting ahead of that, and standardizing their processes, and using companies that are doing it in a compliant way, using only certified equipment, NSA certified, Department of Defense processes, NIST, processes. And so we're getting better there. And then the other piece is, the impact on the environment. So recently, one of the trends, as a trend that has been picking up steam, let's say, to improve our impact on the environment, is the following. It is better for the environment to extend the life of an asset than to destroy it and replace it, right? And even if you destroy it and it's recycled properly, etc., replacing it in and of itself, having that new asset built, installed, deployed, all of that, the footprint, the carbon footprint is going to exceed. And so one of the ways that we help customers is showing them that, yes, you've had this asset, let's say for 3 years or 5 years, and you're on a refresh cycle. We can still make use of it, and we can still support it, and we can still make sure it's running with little to no downtime, that it's up to date, that all the protections are there, and we encourage you to do so for your environmental impact. And believe it or not, companies have ratings on what is their ESG score. So you could go to Morningstar as a popular rating service, and there's many others that, let's say you care about the environment. Let's say me and you, Leticia, which I think we both do.
We do.
We care about the environment, and we're looking to buy something, whatever it is. If it's clothing, if it's shoes, if it's groceries, but we want to make sure that we encourage the proper approach to our environment. Let's go make sure. Let's see who has the best rating. So we could do that. We could pick company A, company B, and we see who has a better ESG rating, who's acting more responsibly, and then our purchasing decision is going to be driven by that. And so even if a company, let's say we're skeptical and we say, well, companies just really care about the bottom line. Okay, let's just take that. Let's say, okay, that's true. But the bottom line for them is going to be impacted by their ESG score, because me and Leticia are only going to buy from the company that's acting responsibly. Now, that's not me saying that this is the case. These are studies that have been done that have compiled statistics, and I have a LinkedIn post about that. So I don't have them memorized now, but essentially,
a lot.
Yeah, but essentially, I think almost 80 to 90% of people, and it's broken down by age demographic, and so the numbers they are all consistently, people are willing to pay a little extra to buy from a company that's acting responsibly. And so companies they're not just sitting around, not forecasting and studying trends. That's what they do. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. So they're very aware of that. So you have both of those factors that are playing into this. Companies care about the environment, and they also care about the bottom line. And so both of those are coming into play. And I think it's been fantastic for the global community that we've identified this, because if you read even more and more of the studies, with the rapid expansion of data, right, just data in general, the amount of e-waste that's going to be generated is beyond comprehension. And so we need to have these guidelines and these guardrails in place so that we can make sure we don't harm the environment and make this a place that's worse for our kids.
Wow.
I rambled. I'm sorry.
Take a drink. That's okay. So making sure that we're utilizing our tech for good, ensuring that we're not just getting the next big thing, the next greatest iteration of whatever it is, but actually using the stuff that we already have optimizing that, hey, we've already got that tool, but here's how we can make it better if it needs to be better, if it needs to be better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then ensuring that the environment is impacted in a good way. How can we live here and live here? I love that. Absolutely love that. And what a rewarding career, because at the end of the day, you're really helping folks. You're helping folks all the way down to the consumer. All the way down to the consumer.
I hope so. No, I mean, I think that's the right approach. I think that's definitely the way you framed it is very well said. People sometimes, again, might think of, oh, my job, if I'm in tech sales, and it doesn't have to be, it could be anywhere in tech.
Yeah.
Is to, just sell X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. But really, your job is to be a partner and a collaborator, advisor, to whoever you're working with, your customer, et cetera. And so your job is to look ahead, anticipate, as we all know, everyone has a lot to do. They're busy. And if you can come in and be a value add and say, hey, do you have some time? I'd like to talk to you about this. Here's what I'm learning, or here's some data, let's talk about ways that we could, react to that data. And I think that's the way, that's the approach you have to have. That is absolutely the approach you have to have. And that's the only approach that would work. For
sure. So not to drill down too deep, but I have to know, tell me, how important is AI to what you do?
It's extremely important.
Your face is like...
It's very, very important, without question.
Yeah.
I think certainly AI has gotten tons of buzz, let's say, ever since ChatGPT kind of hit the scene. And it kind of just invaded everybody's awareness, and in a fascinating way, right? For good reason, right? It was made available to, I think they had 100 million users at I forgot what it was, within a month or two. They're just breaking records.
You couldn't even get on for certain times. Yeah,
exactly. But what a lot of people may not have realized, maybe not your audience, because we've got technology savvy people, but AI has been embedded in a lot of things that we do for a long time. And so a lot of, IBM's products, as we are, the leaders in AI when just going back to the legacy of Watson and all the different breakthroughs that we've had. But we've embedded AI into a lot of our tools. And so almost all of our tools, right, are going to have AI. They're powered by AI. And so specifically to let's say my area, my specialty, like I said, we want to maximize and support and ensure no downtime for companies' assets, and AI tools are what we use to ensure that. So, our tools will be able to prevent downtime, prevent an asset breaking, anticipate, be preventative as to when that might occur. And all of that is driven by AI. We have, not to get too much into, what we sell, but we have a product that a client will be able to, they have a portal, they'll be able to look at each and every asset, have a report that's changing, by the second, as far as what the asset.
By the second?
Well, because it's live data. What is the assets? What are the risks? What are the strengths? Do we, how should we address this asset? Do you need to put any attention here? How's it performing? What what do we anticipate? When should it be replaced? How can it be extended? All of that data is generated by AI. And so it's very important, and it's very important going forward, right? As you maybe, I'm sure but
but the other people don't know. Tell them.
Okay,
Tell them, though. That's why you're here.
Sure.
Tell them.
Okay. But IBM's approach to AI is more towards enterprise, towards businesses.
Yeah.
And Watson X is our platform, and that is for businesses to be able to address all of their AI needs, whether it is boosting their HR approach and making things more streamlined, or customer service, etc. So our approach has always been to the business side, whereas some of the other companies are more for consumers, people that and nothing wrong with it at all, but that's more, it's just a different approach.
Yeah.
Where people want to use it personally, help me write this email, or research or write a paper, have it write a poem, which I have done, by the way. I did have I did have a poem written just for fun, but it's extremely exciting. It's extremely exciting time to be in technology or using technology, and people, the audience, and you and I, we should be trying to consume as much information as possible as we can when it comes to AI and the developments, because they're so rapid. There's so many tools. I will add a caveat. Responsibility is also very key when it comes to AI and using AI. And that's, I'm very proud to say that IBM takes that very, very seriously. We are one of the leaders and the originators of AI guidelines and AI ethics, and we take that very seriously because it's dangerous, right? And it goes without saying why it's so dangerous. People's data can be compromised, people's original works, right? You see, some artists aren't so happy that somebody can just generate them writing a song, etc. And so there's a lot. It's going to be interesting how it ends up. I think it's going to be ever changing, our approach, because the power of AI has been unleashed right onto the world, and there's no going back. So it's on us to act responsibly as a global community, and I have no doubt we will.
Yep. That's for sure. Now,
and let me give an example, by the way, because this might be helpful.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Example. No. Yeah. Go ahead.
This is important for the audience, and it might.
Yeah.
People might already know this or think it's elementary, but
no.
One of the things, remember I mentioned a newsletter that I put out around ESG, environmental impact. And so when ChatGPT was released, I thought, hey, I usually spend, half an hour searching, finding articles that are on point, that are relevant. Maybe I could save time. Let me just see if ChatGPT will do it for me. And so I went into ChatGPT, and this is after they already embedded the internet plugin and the search plugin. So for the people out there that are more into ChatGPT, I did use the plugins for browser search, and I asked it to give me the 5 articles over the last week that talk about ESG from reputable sources, and put that in there. And what do you know? It gave me 5 articles. It was from reputable sources, New York Times, Forbes. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. This is fantastic. Let me just go double check and make sure, get the links. And I went onto Google and I searched those articles. I looked for them and I couldn't find them. And the reason I couldn't find them is because they didn't exist. So I went back to ChatGPT and I said, hey, are those articles real, or did you make those up? And, it gave me that that canned answer that it gives whenever you ask it something, they say, well, I'm a LLM, and basically it said these articles do not exist.
Right.
I only say that because, and I know this has been in the news, there was actually, I think, some lawyers that ended up submitting cases that didn't exist just because it was new, because people, thought it was, a supercharged Google. It's not. Maybe it'll get there, right? But it is important, even from a standpoint of, if you are, let's say you're writing a resume, you're writing a cover letter, whatever it is, and you need some assistance, it definitely has a utility, but just always double check, always review. I've heard stories of people that in their cover letter, it said, insert name here, right? And they just never cleaned that up. Right, simple,
At
but
the bottom it says regenerate.
yeah, exactly. So just be careful. Remember, your eyes on the final product.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I love when folks call me up and they are asking questions and they're like, well, I got my sources. Okay, great. And then where'd you get it? Okay, ChatGPT. Okay, wonderful. And did you double check your sources? I came from the encyclopedia crowd. So,
Yeah.
I grew up a little different.
Mm-hmm. Encyclopedia Britannica.
but at the same time, I can see, I see where the AI has improved, what we do on a daily basis. And 𝗵𝗲𝗍, we have some chat here. 𝗵𝗲 was saying, "Oh, that's so good." Yeah, there's different methods of doing things, and not everybody's going to do the thing the same way. But it is very important for us to be able to do it responsibly, like you pointed out, because otherwise, yeah, you will have court cases going up that aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. And
unfortunately, that's sad.
It's unfortunate, and I think it came at a time where it had just come out.
Yeah.
People were still learning about it, and that's going to teach a lot of us, right? I mean, those people went through that, they learned their lesson, but we also can learn that lesson. Right. And I think as time goes, hopefully people are getting awareness. At the same time, it's improving, right? I mean, they're not sitting still. There's all sorts of new gadgets. There's all sorts of new plugins. I mean, it is almost at the point where it is impossible to stay up to date on that consumer end of it, of what is being released, right? And so just be careful. I think even if you go on Twitter, I found this very, very positive. There will be ads of all sorts of AI tools being released. This AI tool will do XYZ. That AI tool will do XYZ. And Twitter will have a statement, and this I was so happy to see this. We'll say this tool basically just uses ChatGPT. You don't have to buy it. So there's people out there that want to take advantage in a bad way, and just kind of rebrand something or slap a different label on it. So just always be careful with what you're trying and what you're going to buy, if you're going to buy anything, because there's people out there, unfortunately, that want to take advantage.
Right.
Make sure that you are actually buying something. If you're going to buy something, make sure it's not what's already available, I guess. Right. In a different sense.
It's already there. Yep. We just colored it purple instead of green.
Correct.
So I have something that I want to ask you that is going to, I know I'm going to get a whole bunch of email on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask anyway because it's me.
All right. So, I signed up for it.
So here we are. Okay. Here's the big deal. You're in sales and you help companies to do the best that they can do with the products that they have, and enhancing if they need to. Okay. What would you say to a company that says, "Hey, Mo, I have a mainframe. I want to get cloud. Should I just get off the mainframe and go to cloud, or can I get mainframe and cloud?" Is
I
that
would
a loaded
say,
question?
no, that's a good question. I would say talk to my mainframe partner at IBM, because they will explain to you why you do not have to you're not picking and choosing one or the other.
Mhm.
Obviously, the mainframe has been around for a long time because it's so powerful. It's so stable. Uh, Literally everything that almost everyone has a interaction with a mainframe on a daily basis, right? All the different banking transactions, all, just you've covered that better than I ever could, right? And so the answer would be the stability that the mainframe provides and its ability to be integrated with your cloud.
Yeah.
Let's take a look and let's walk you through why you might want to take a second look at that. But I think without question, the mainframe has been, I guess you could kind of say it's gotten a second life, in a sense of its strengths are being highlighted as we go. As the cloud, took its big growth step, I think the mainframe also now has been shown to be extremely reliable and critical because of its stability, because of its power.
Mhm.
And because it's ingrained and it's adapted, right? The speed, the processing power. So I know your audience is going to be able to say that even better than I did, but I hope that answers your question.
No, that it completely answers it, because everyone's always asking me, why we could just use a cloud instance. I'm like, dude, but why not have both? Do you know what you can do with the virtualization on it? Just the virtualization on a mainframe by itself, straight out the box, not
Mhm.
even loving it or shining it up, none of that. And I think that a lot of times folks just don't embrace even just that piece. But then you add cloud. Do you know? Do you know it's like, why can't we have both? I just don't understand what's the problem. So yeah, marriage made in heaven. um Now let's switch gears just a little bit. I want to ask you about like personal interest, because if
Sure.
that's okay,
Yeah, of course.
because
Absolutely.
I feel, my whole thing is that I want folks to know that watch the show that people that work within this tech ecosystem, we're real people, and there is balance. We have a work-life balance of some sort. We are outside doing people stuff. So, with that being said, do you like to read? Do you play video games? What's your thing? What's your hobbies?
So, like I said, I have a 3-year-old. So my hobbies are Spider-Man and uh,
Oh,
Iron Man, Paw Patrol. Really, my hobby is spending time with my kids and my loved ones. My wife, absolutely. And so, like right now, we're potty training. We're in day 3. So we've had
oh,
a
almost done.
oh yeah, we're almost done. We had an intense few days here, but we're making progress. Um, but as far as hobbies, I love sports. Right, I'm competitive. I played sports in high school. I continued on just recreationally, not in any way. At any point did anybody offer me any money to play any sport, but I do it for fun.
Okay.
So I enjoy watching sports, playing, teaching my child, taking them out to play some soccer, shoot basketball, spending time with family. I have 4 siblings, 3 brothers, 1 sister, and they all have kids. So we love getting together as often as we can, let the kids play, run around, and spending time with my wife. You know, after we get the little man down, we get some time alone to kind of just relax and talk and catch up. So I would say that takes up most of my time. Reading, I do love reading Malcolm Gladwell. He has a book, The Outliers, that I think everybody should read. He has all his books are great. Blink is a great book, and he hosts the IBM podcast, right? So that's kind of funny how things go. I was into his books. His books, you know, have been coming out since like 06, 07. And, you know, here we are recently, let's say in the last 5 years, he started hosting some of our technology podcasts, which is really, things came full circle for me. But I think his take on why certain people were successful, right? So he'll go back and study. One of his famous chapters was around technology. You know, Bill Gates, and I think he looked at Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and the founder of Sun Microsystems, whose name I can't remember. But what he went and studied, why were these individuals more successful why were they so ahead of the curve? And I'm not going to ruin the book. Everybody should go out and read it. I think is really inspiring. He also, this one, I'll give this other example. He found that the most professional hockey players were all born in the same month range, right? I can't remember if it was like, you know, October to December or October to January, February. And one of the reasons that they concluded was kids that are going into kindergarten, if you don't turn, let's say you're 4, you have to be 5. You actually will turn 5 in November. You have to wait a year. So what does that mean? When you come into kindergarten, right, now you're going to be 5 in 9 months. So you're bigger than everybody else. You've got almost a year on them. You're going to be viewed as stronger by any coach, etc. And so it all kind of fed into why all these hockey players were all born, not all of them, but a big majority were born in the same time frame. So he kind of looks at certain things, certain aspects of trends and you know, even certain, you know, law firms, why certain law firms were successful. And so it's really fascinating. I think everybody, if you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down. Well, that's one of them. All his books are great. But that's if I had to pick a favorite author, that would be Malcolm Gladwell.
Wow. We will have to put that book suggestion in the comments because I would really be interested. I'm a statistics, what's a good word?
Enthusiast?
Yes, enthusiast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I love getting all of that. And just to think, yeah, kids are bigger and that's
So they get more coaching, they get more attention from the coaching, right? And none of it is, you know, nefarious or malicious. It's just natural. If you're a coach, the kid is stronger, and then and so it's been a trend. Actually, this is funny. Since his book came out, which I think it came out in 07 or something like that specific book, a lot of parents, from what I understand, started holding their kids back because they're like, oh, okay, let me make sure my child is bigger than their classmates. Let's give them an advantage. So that became a trend, from what I understand. So
that's crazy.
So now it's too late to use that trick. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, they're gonna call the people on y'all if you keep doing that. That's horrible. So what about food? Do you cook?
So I am the brunch. I'm the Sunday brunch. I'm responsible for Sunday brunch. So I will make eggs. I will cheese sandwiches, grilled cheese, you name it. During the week, I can make a great plate of nachos.
Okay.
I can make stir fry. So that's kind of my skill set is, let's say, more limited when it comes to cooking. Maybe it's a lot more narrow, but I'm dangerous in the kitchen. Let's put it that way. It could be really good. It could be, not so good.
Okay. Okay. And Velma wants to know, Velma Jones says, has he modeled? Have you modeled?
No.
Really?
No, I haven't. Thank you. I'm flattered.
You're so photogenic. When I've seen your pictures on LinkedIn, I'm like, he's got to have modeled before.
I'm very flattered. You should say that to my wife. I appreciate it. But no, I haven't modeled. No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, that's questions from the audience. And also, tell me this. What do you think about social media? Just that's a blanket.
Sure. I am LinkedIn. Is an area that I really spend a lot of time in. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn because I think it's a great opportunity, a great platform to meet people, to learn, to just see what's going out there in the world. Sometimes we get kind of focused into what we're thinking about, and we forget to look at the bigger picture. What's going on? What can I learn from others? So that's my approach to social media, LinkedIn, and I love meeting people. I love connecting with people. You get to meet people from all over the world. I mean, there's people from all over the world that are on LinkedIn. You name it, you name the country, people are on LinkedIn. And then you'll get to see what people care about, what they find interesting, whether it's on a personal level or it is trends in business or trends in the world. So I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. As far as any other social media, I'm not on it. My wife and I, when we got married, we both got off of any other social media, and we just focused on professional social media.
I don't blame you. I can see why you would do that. And it's a whole thing. No worries.
Now, yeah, I'm just telling you what my approach is. I don't think it's wrong at all. Yeah. I mean, of course, I do check Twitter a lot to see that for the very same reasons, right?
Yeah.
A lot of trends, a lot of information is coming off of Twitter, and so it's very important. But like Facebook and TikTok and that kind of stuff, I'm just not on it. And but I know that there's a lot of good information there too.
Now you got to pick and choose. Like I don't do everything. I have a lot of it, but some of it I haven't even been on in years.
Right.
So yeah, no, I get that. So before we end, and you have been wonderful. By the way,
it's been great. You're right. It blew by. I'm looking at it. It says 12:59. I can't believe it. That went by real quick.
It goes by super fast.
Yeah.
Some really fast. Somebody told me, they're like, yeah, we're going to do this thing and it's going to be 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's like 5 minutes in airtime. So, but is there anybody you want to shout out?
Well, Leticia, I want to shout out, of course. Thank you for having me on your program.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. My wife, Reem, who I adore, and as you can imagine, is my support.
Wonderful.
And then, everybody out there, shout out to everybody that's listening, that's learning. I've watched Leticia's shows. I remember watching your interview with PJ. We were driving somewhere and I was like, oh, we got to watch this. And it was a great conversation. But really shout out to everybody that's getting up every day, working towards a goal. There's one last quote that I want to, or saying that I wanted to share. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Ooh.
Don't ever let it happen. Go out there, You're gonna have, you know, some challenges. If you're trying to start a career, it's gonna look bleak at certain points. Just don't stop. Don't stop pushing. Keep moving. Meet people, talk to people, network, ask questions, and you'll get to where you want to be. I promise you. Oh, you went blank for a second.
Do you see me?
I do now.
That is so weird.
You froze for just like maybe 5 seconds.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Did you get your quote out?
I did, yeah. Did you hear it?
I didn't hear it, but I'm gonna have to rewind and listen to it.
Okay, no problem. The quote is, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you are not buying it, keep moving, keep pushing forward. Even if, you know, even if things look bleak, or oh, this person said I got no chance, or I got rejected without an interview, you know, those things are going to happen if people are looking to get into a career. And I know people that have applied to jobs in technology, applied to literally hundreds, hundreds. And it's a process, right? Applying for a job. It takes time and effort. It's like having a job. A lot of people say that. You gotta every day, you have to log into all the different sites, you know, revise a resume, search for jobs, make sure that they exist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Follow up, you know, have a updated resume, letters of recommendation, you name it. So it's a job, but it's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile pursuit without question.
For sure. For sure. You know what? I absolutely adore having you on. You have been so fabulous.
Thank you.
I thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad you reached out. I've been wanting to, you know, get on the show and have a conversation, and it's I'm honored. I'm honored to have been on Tish Talks Tech. It's an absolute honor.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mo. Thanks for all the chat that's been in chat. The Joneses have come through with us, and you all remember that you've got to get the skills, and just understand that there is more to tech than just code. You can actually help people like Mo Allo in sales. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I know it was. So join us next week, and I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Leticia.
Thank you, Mo.
Appreciate it.